York. They have a wingspan of about 9 feet. They are partners. You will only ever see two. They mate for life, and they can get pretty territorial about their space and their partner. Alrighty, looks like out to the left-hand side on top of the hill there, you're going to see that it's a black rhinoceros out there, kind of moving kind of fast. Black rhinos do have a V-shaped lip, which is prehensile. Just means that they can use it to grasp things. Kind of looks like a boulder back there. They have horns on top of their heads, and those horns are made of keratin, just like our fingernails and hair. Out to our left-hand side, those are the greater kudu. Those greater kudus are females. We can tell because they do not have horns on top of their heads. Only the males do, and they grow those horns about 6 feet tall. They are headed out of the Aturi Forest, and Aturi in Swahili does mean little. We're going to go over to the Safi River next, and Safi in Swahili means clear. This is where we're hopefully going to find more aquatic animals. Just over the bank on the right-hand side are pink-backed pelicans out there. They do get their name by the way they change colors during mating season, almost as if they're blushing for each other. They are colonial nesters. They'll nest anywhere from 20 to 500 pairs at a time. And it looks like we're getting a rare treat of a Nile hippopotamus out of the water. Nile hippos can get up to 5,500 pounds. So surprisingly enough, they do not float in the water. They can, however, gallop across the bottom of the water, giving them the nickname the water horse. They can hold their breath for well over 8 minutes at a time. They rarely come out of the water, but when they do, it is just to graze or to mark their territory with a dung shower. And I can't really predict which ones that is, so we're going to keep moving so we don't get caught in that. It's a really bad hurricane tornado. A group of hippos can be called a bloat. Over on the left-hand side are going to be Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles do have a powerful bite force strong enough to crush the bones of their prey. They weigh about 500 pounds and they eat half their own body weight at least once a week. That's about 250 pounds in one sitting. A Nile crocodile can get as long as a giraffe can be tall. Let's make sure we're remaining fully seated the entire duration of the ride. This is a moving vehicle. Now, crocodiles can get as long as a giraffe can be tall, so they can get anywhere from 16 to 20 feet long. The way that we can tell the difference between alligators and crocodiles is actually going to be their nose and their teeth. Alligators have a more A or rounded shaped nose, as where crocodiles have a more V or pointed shaped nose. You can also see a crocodile's teeth even when their mouths are closed. That's why it's smile crocodile and later alligator, because you won't see the teeth later. You can find alligators in North and South America, but you can find crocodiles all over the world, including saltwater. The next time you visit a lake, an ocean, a river, or even a spring, make sure you clean up after yourself and the folks around you. If every single person on this truck alone picked up at least 10 pieces of trash, there would be over 400 pieces of trash that would go to the proper recycling and waste bins from this truck alone. Instead of being in the waterways, doesn't just help those crocodiles, but it quite is a bonus. Alrighty, my friends, we're going to get a beautiful view in the overlook area of the savannah. The savannah is a wide open plain where the animals are able to roam wherever they would like. Sometimes that does mean in the middle of the pathway, and that is just okay. It is their home. We are just visiting them in today. With it being so hot outside, we are going to find that some of these animals are hiding out in the shady areas. We'll still be able to see them. We'll just have to go look there first. It looks like out in the middle on the right-hand side is going to be a Maasai giraffe. Maasai giraffes have that jagged patterning on their coats, making them a little bit different than a reticulated giraffe, who does have more uniform squares to the patterning on their coat. They stand anywhere from 16 to 20 feet tall, as I mentioned earlier, making them some of the tallest animals in the entire world. They use their long prehensile tongues to grab onto leaves and pull them down. If you look out across the savannah, they're doing a pretty good job at that. We can see outside. I just see a couple of them. Most of them looks like they're hanging out in the back there. But there are some African painted dogs out there. African painted dogs do get their name by the way. They each look like an individual work of art. No two are the same. They are part of the canine family. They do have 4 toes instead of 5. They often get mistaken for hyenas, but hyenas are in a class of their own called hyenidae. Hyenas are actually more closely related to cats. These are dogs. Continuing on our left-hand side, in the back there, you're going to see those sable antelopes out there. Sable antelopes are going to be some of the only antelopes in the entire world to choose fight over flight. They will lean their heads back, poking anything that's getting on them from behind so that they can stay protected. They also use those horns for courtship and dominance. The females have a lighter brown coat where the males have a really, really dark coat. Now we are going to be passing some wildebeest out on our left-hand side. Wildebeest get their name from the Afrikaans word for wild beast. That is a Dutch dialect. 1.5 million of them will migrate anywhere from 500 to 1,000 miles in a year's migration. They're super adaptable, and so are their babies. Their babies are up and running in 15 minutes from birth. They do have parallel vision, so even when they're looking down at the ground, they can actually still see straight ahead of themselves. Now those stripes that you see on their coats is actually kind of like a cowlick where the hair ridges in different places, and when they are walking you actually can't tell which direction they're walking in, which is why they are called an uncertainty. Getting a little bit closer to that beside giraffe out there. We're also getting really close to the Hartman mountain zebras out on the right-hand side. Hartman mountain zebras have extremely large hearts that help them to pump their blood when they are in the mountains. They do have an extra flap of skin on their neck. It's called a dewlap. It actually helps them to stay cool for long periods of time. This is a reminder that you are not a zebra and you should be drinking water on a constant basis, because unfortunately we don't have that ability. Now out to your left-hand side on the hill there, you're going to see a pair of elands. There's going to be one in the bushes and then one a little bit closer to the truck. Eland get to 6 feet tall just at their shoulders. 50% of their population does live on protected land. They also have a dewlap. Again, you are still not an eland and should be drinking water on a constant basis. Their joints click when they walk. It's actually so that they can find each other when they are walking through dense bush, which is pretty cool. If you look out to your right-hand side, we're going to start passing some springbok out here. They get their name by the way they spring or prunk into the air. They can spring up to 6 feet and as far as 13 feet. Just behind them is going to be the Ankole cattle out there. Ankole cattle are going to grow those horns 6 feet apart from each other. They do have a honeycomb structure inside of their horns that help them to circulate their blood just a little bit better. Their horns are actually full of blood, so if they get cracked or damaged, it can prove fatal for them. So they really do like to take care of them as much as possible. They're actually also a lot lighter on top of their heads than they seem. Oh, there's the rest of the tower, which is what we call a group of giraffe. They take 3 to 5 minutes standing naps throughout the day to like about 30 minutes. They also do not sit down to give birth. Those baby giraffes have a 6-foot drop to contend to, as well as being 6 feet tall for birth. A group of giraffe can be called a tower, but when they are migrating, they are called a journey. Now we're going to be headed on our own journey. We're going to be headed towards the elephant country. African elephants have been forging a path for themselves out here for quite some time now. I'm gonna go see if we might have to catch up with the rest of them. Out to the right-hand side, you're going to see that African elephant out there. They have those big, beautiful ears that just so happen to be the shape of the continent of Africa. They can actually cool themselves down by about 15 degrees simply by fanning their ears back and forth because of the powerful veins found inside of their ears circulating the blood for them. It's what we call great ear conditioning. This is not the best vantage point, but I think I have a better one. We'll keep going, see if we can catch them back on the way down. We actually found out through Disney conservation research that African elephants do not like bees. If they sting them on their ears, it's really going to hurt them, so they'd rather stay away from them altogether. We actually used this information in a conservation program over in Africa. It was called the Elephants and Bees Project. Farmers were finding that African elephants were getting onto their property, eating and destroying their crops, so they were getting pretty upset. They were taking some different measures to protect their crops from the elephants. I think I found it. I think we're going to get a really good look out here on our right-hand side. So poachers actually noticed that they were having a hard time with the elephants onto their property, and they kind of took advantage of that. They told them that they would come up with deterrents that would get rid of the African elephants, but it was just hurting them. So the Disney Conservation Program actually stepped in and donated special bee fences to those farmers to use on their property instead. And it was a huge success. The African elephants slightly changed their migration patterns just to stay away from those bees. The bees had a home to go back to, and the farmers had an extra source of income from selling the honeys from those bees, as well as their crops were able to recuperate in a record time because the bees were out there pollinating it for them. So it was a win-win for everybody involved. You can purchase that honey online by simply searching the Elephants and Bees Project from those farmers out there. And it looks like we're catching up with the rest of those African elephants over the left-hand side. And it looks like we've caught up with the mom and her baby out there. She's just so tiny, look at her. The average gestation period for an African elephant is going to be about 23 months. For the first year of her life, she can actually walk underneath her mother the entire time. She's about 6 months old. She's just starting to get used to being able to fully use her trunk to grab onto things. It's actually how they get that red clay into their diet. They'll grab some of it with their trunks, put it in their mouths. It's also how they put on their sunscreen. Just the other day, I just watched her do it. It was so cute. She grabbed a little bit of that clay, threw it onto her back so that she could stay protected from the sun. They can drink about 50 gallons of water a day simply by sucking the water into their trunks and then blowing it back into their mouths. A group of elephants has many names. My personal favorite, a parade of elephants. Now you might notice these baobab trees out here. They look like they're upside down. They stay leafless for 9 months out of the year. It is to conserve water. All the animals have to do is to chew on the bark to gain access to that water. Their nickname is actually the Tree of Life, which is actually the inspiration for the tree